Like and subscribe might be a simple click for you, but it will lead to a transformational change of our channel. Support us to achieve 5 million subscribers by year 2028. In the year 2142, a space probe reactivates when it locates the remains of the Nostromo, the vessel from the original Alien film. It opens a hatch and retrieves what appears to be an organic specimen, before taking off again. This item is delivered to a space station, where a group of scientists dissect it. Half of the specimen is sent away for analysis, while the remaining half reveals the presence of a xenomorph inside. 6 months later, Rain, a worker on a mining colony, speaks to an employee of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, which controls the colony. Rain informs him she has completed her work quota and is ready to leave, but the clerk explains that, due to a labor shortage, she will instead be reassigned to the mines. Her contract has been extended, with her release now set for 5 years later. Just then, Rain sees her adopted brother, Andy, being assaulted by a group of thugs. She intervenes, scaring them off, and tends to Andy, who bleeds white because he is an android. Using a special chip, she resets his system to calm him down. Shortly after, Rain receives a message from her ex, Tyler, inviting her over. Rain and Andy board Tyler's ship, the Corbelan, where Tyler and his family explain they have discovered a derelict spacecraft drifting in orbit above the colony. The ship contains multiple hypersleep chambers, and if they can salvage it, they might finally escape the colony. Tyler asks Rain to join the mission, as Andy's abilities can help access the ship's systems. The Corbelan departs, with Tyler's cousin Bjorn demonstrating a fire trick using his lighter. The ship shakes violently due to a storm, but once they ascend above the clouds, the flight becomes steady. Upon reaching the derelict vessel, they realize it is actually a space station, much closer to the rings of the planet than expected. Calculations show it will crash in 36 hours, but Tyler assures them that the mission will take only 30 minutes. Rain privately asks Andy if he is certain about continuing, and he confirms that his primary directive, programmed by her father, is to ensure her happiness. Once the ship docks with the station, Tyler, Bjorn, and Andy board with a temporary scanner. Andy unlocks the first door, and the trio enters, though they must navigate a tight passage. The station's gravity fluctuates, turning on and off every few minutes, making the journey treacherous. The group eventually floats into a room containing the hypersleep pods. When the gravity shuts off again, Bjorn falls, prompting Andy to use the station's computer to stabilize the power and gravity. However, they discover the pods don't contain enough fuel for the 9-year journey to the nearest planet. Tyler ejects the pods for the Corbelan to collect while they search for more fuel. Navarro, Bjorn's sister, pilots the Corbelan and retrieves the pods without issue. Meanwhile, Rain looks after Tyler's sister, Kay, who is feeling unwell. Kay confides in Rain that she is pregnant and asks her to keep it a secret. Back on the station, the trio overhears a recording revealing that, like the mines, the station belongs to Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The station is named Renaissance and is divided into 2 sections, Romulus and Remus, with murals on the walls referencing the famous myth. During the exploration, Bjorn, who despises androids, reveals Andy won't be able to join them when they leave because the planet they plan to escape to prohibits androids. Tyler reluctantly confirms this, but Andy assures them that whatever is best for Rain is best for him. The group reaches an operational but deserted laboratory, where Bjorn finds a stun rod. While playing with it, he nearly falls into a hole, but Andy saves him. They also encounter a damaged android and notice the hole and the android were affected by a chemical spill. The group presses on until they find the cryo chamber. The door only opens halfway, but they squeeze inside, discovering the room is flooded. Tyler and Bjorn attempt to extract fuel from a compartment, but Bjorn freezes his fingers during the process. An alarm suddenly sounds, and the door seals them inside. Andy tries to unlock it but can't, as it requires higher-level access. The computer alerts them that frozen creatures, a type of alien, are awakening in the cryo chamber. Navarro and Rain are forced to board the station to rescue their comrades. Along the way, Rain encounters the damaged android and attempts to transfer its credentials to Andy, but the android attacks her, prompting Navarro to disable it. The 2 women rush to the lab and pass the module to the men through a small opening in the door. Tyler installs it in Andy, who freezes as he reboots. As the creatures fully awaken, one latches onto Bjorn's leg, causing him to fall. Although he manages to throw it off, another attacks Tyler. A second alien leaps onto Andy, and in a desperate move, Andy throws the creature at the ceiling lights, electrocuting it. After rebooting, Andy unlocks the door, and the group makes a hasty escape. The gap remains, allowing the creatures to work together and force it open once more. The alien creatures begin pursuing the humans, who rush into another room and quickly seal the door. However, one creature slips through before the door shuts and latches onto Navarro's face. The others rush to help her, but it's too late. The creature's tail is wrapped tightly around her neck, and any attempt to forcibly remove it could be fatal. To everyone's astonishment, Andy begins to explain that the alien is supplying Navarro with oxygen to keep her alive. His tone is unexpectedly calm and intelligent, different from his usual demeanor. Rain quickly realizes that the new module must be responsible for this change, but when she moves to remove it, Andy stops her, stating that he has been updated. He admits he doesn't know how to safely detach the creature and suggests they reactivate the destroyed android for help. They manage to connect the damaged android to the computer, and when it powers up, it introduces itself as Science Officer Rook. Rook immediately advises them to kill Navarro, as the creature has already implanted an alien embryo inside her, and it's too late to save her. Rook explains that this station was the ship that discovered the wreckage of the Nostromo, and its crew was all killed by a xenomorph, which now hangs dead from the cables in the hole. It was the creature's acid that caused the destruction across the station. Rook had sealed the station after the alien died, but by then, it was too late. Rain comes up with an idea. They could use cryonic liquid to freeze the creature. Tyler shoots the liquid at the alien, and as soon as its tail loosens, they manage to remove it from Navarro. Tyler attempts to kill the creature, but it escapes through the hole in the floor. The group is relieved Navarro is alive, but Rook warns them that there is still a 60% chance an alien is growing inside her. Andy insists they shouldn't take Navarro back with them, which prompts Bjorn to strike him with the stun rod, sending him flying. While Rain helps Andy, Bjorn takes the opportunity to flee with Navarro. Moments later, Andy hears something and rushes to the corridor, where he sees Bjorn sealing the doors. Andy tries to hold one open, but Bjorn quickly locks the next one, leaving Andy, Rain, and Tyler trapped on the station. Navarro detaches the Corblin from the station, but before she can get far, she begins feeling ill. Using a special light to examine herself, she realizes, to her horror, that Rook's prediction was correct. She has an alien growing inside her. Suddenly, Navarro convulses, and a xenomorph erupts from her body, killing her instantly. With no one to pilot the ship, the Corblin spirals out of control, crashing into the station and triggering a massive explosion as it hits a fuel tank. The blast knocks out Kay and Bjorn, and the ship drifts into the station's hangar bay, breaking a window and causing a vacuum effect. Fortunately, the doors close just in time, but the impact destabilizes the station, which now has only 47 minutes before crashing into the planet's rings. Meanwhile, Rain and Tyler search for a way to navigate the station and reach their ship. Just as they are about to open a door, they find a group of creatures on the other side. At the same time, Rook checks the station's computer to ensure something called the Z01 compound is still intact. Rook then asks Andy for assistance, making Andy realize that his new module has overridden his primary directive. Instead of prioritizing Rain, his goal is now to complete the station's mission for Weyland-Yutani. Andy reunites with Rain and Tyler, sharing the information he obtained from Rook. The creatures cannot see but sense their prey through body heat. This means they can raise the room's temperature to match their body temperature and render themselves invisible to the aliens. After Andy adjusts the thermostat, the trio cautiously crosses the room, struggling not to react to the bodies they find strewn about. Elsewhere, Kay regains consciousness and searches for her companions. She stumbles upon the remains of the chestburster that Navarro had carried, its shed skin now hanging in a cocoon on the wall. Just then, Bjorn finds her and pulls her back, thrusting the stun rod into the cocoon to electrocute the alien. However, the alien's acidic blood destroys the rod, and its tail lashes out, slashing Bjorn's face. As acid drips onto Bjorn, it burns through his flesh, killing him. The newly formed xenomorph begins to emerge from the cocoon, and Kay runs to the door, but it won't open. She frantically calls Tyler, who is still in the room with the creatures. He whispers instructions to her, and Kay finds a key, escaping just as the xenomorph draws near. Kay's frantic movement alerts the creatures, which begin leaping toward Rain, Tyler, and Andy. The trio runs, and Tyler throws a flare to distract the aliens with its heat. This diversion works for a short time, but soon the creatures are back in pursuit. When Andy reaches the door, he begins closing it, forcing Tyler and Rain to sprint across just in time. Rain chastises Andy, but he calmly responds that he had calculated they would make it. With only 30 minutes left before the station crashes, the hangar bay sprinklers activate, and Kay wakes up. She hears the xenomorph approaching and hides as it passes above her. Once the coast is clear, Kay tries to reach the hangar door, but accidentally sets off an alarm. The trio arrives on the other side of the door, but Andy refuses to open it, explaining that the xenomorph is using Kay as bait. Rain reveals Kay is pregnant, hoping to appeal to Andy's empathy, but it doesn't work. Eventually, the xenomorph grows impatient and drags Kay away. Furious, Rain slaps Andy, demanding to know his directive. He reveals his new priority is to act in the best interest of the company. Andy then leads Rain and Tyler to an elevator, explaining he must complete the mission so Rook will unlock the hangar door and allow them to escape. They reach a lab containing a capsule filled with a mysterious black liquid. Rook appears on the computer screen and explains that humanity was never meant to explore space, as their bodies cannot withstand its harshness. Weyland-Yutani created this station to study the aliens and use their fluids to enhance human beings. The Z01 compound is the same black substance introduced in Prometheus movie in 2012. If you have not watched it, please click the above link. Let's move on. In the video they watch, a rat is crushed nearly to death, but after the scientists inject it with the Z01 compound, the rat heals instantly. However, the footage continues to show that the rat later mutates into a monstrous creature like the one they saw earlier inside a box. Andy, unaware of this final development, gathers all the compound samples and prepares to take them to the colony. Rain stops him, noticing a xenomorph on the security cameras. Andy arms Rain and Tyler with pulse rifles, warning them to only shoot if absolutely necessary to avoid triggering an acid spill that could cause a hull breach. As they begin to make their way across the station with only 20 minutes left before impact, they notice an increasing amount of xenomorph resin on the walls, indicating the presence of more aliens. When Andy turns on the lights in the next corridor, they are horrified to see an entire alien hive. Although Andy and Rain suggest finding another route, Tyler hears Kay's voice coming from inside the hive and rushes in. Rain follows, and they discover many cocooned bodies, including Kay's. To their relief, Kay hasn't been implanted with an alien embryo yet, as there's no dead creature nearby. Kay's pulse is weak, so Andy offers to inject her with the Z01 compound to save her. Before Tyler can administer the injection, Rain stops him, suspicious of the substance, and insists Kay might survive if they take her to a cryochamber instead. Suddenly, they hear the screech of a xenomorph approaching and flee to another room. Inside, they encounter another xenomorph, which attempts to stab Rain with its tail. Tyler sacrifices himself, taking the hit and shielding Rain. The alien uses Tyler's body to knock Andy down and drags him back into the hive, where more creatures swarm and kill him. Heartbroken but determined, Rain and Kay escape into an elevator. Rain can't stop thinking about her brother, Tyler, so she drops Kay and the compound samples off at the hangar bay, instructing her to take the Corblin back to the colony. Afterward, Rain heads back to the hive, where she removes the module from Andy's body and resets him to his original state. When Andy reawakens, he is back to his old self, and the two flee as the xenomorphs close in on them. However, Rook refuses to open the doors for them, prioritizing the safety of the compound over their lives. Enraged, Rain shoots at Rook's screen, but he now appears on the Corblin system and tries to convince Kay to give him access to the ship. Rain comes up with a desperate plan. She disables the station's gravity and begins shooting at the xenomorphs. In the zero-gravity environment, the acid blood from the xenomorphs floats in the air instead of falling to the hull, preventing further damage. With Andy's help, Rain manages to kill all the creatures. The duo carefully avoids the floating acid as they navigate the corridors. At one point, Rain accidentally pushes herself toward the acid, forcing her to shoot her rifle to stop her momentum. Eventually, they reach the elevator shaft and decide to climb, as the elevator is non-functional without gravity. Andy manages to jump up the shaft, but Rain is attacked by a xenomorph that grabs her leg. She shoots the alien's arm, causing herself to float upward, unaware that the acid has burned a hole in the door. Andy holds onto the stairs, while Rain struggles to recover her floating rifle. Just then, gravity is restored, and Rain falls. The elevator, now working, begins descending quickly, but Andy manages to catch it before it crushes her. However, a xenomorph grabs Rain with its tail, and as she tries to escape, the acid falling from the corridor causes further damage to the hull, creating a vacuum effect. This vacuum slows down the xenomorphs in the shaft. Andy lets go of the elevator, allowing it to crash down and kill all the remaining creatures. The elevator also seals the hole, stopping the vacuum. Despite their temporary safety, there is still one xenomorph left in the shaft, along with a creature. Andy retrieves the rifle and shoots both creatures, killing them. But before they can catch their breath, the computer's countdown ends, and the station begins sliding along the planet's rings. Andy and Rain rush to the Corbelan and find Kay unconscious. Rain immediately activates the autopilot, and the Corbelan escapes the station just before it crashes completely. Rook is destroyed in the wreckage, and Rain cuts all remaining links to the station. Rain prepares a cryopod for Kay, but when she checks the pod, she finds Kay screaming. The Z01 compound has accelerated Kay's pregnancy, and she gives birth to a xenomorph-like cocoon. Rain immediately cuts the umbilical cord, but she has to drop the cocoon when she sees acid seeping out of it. The cocoon opens to reveal a monstrous baby inside, and the acid burns through the floor, causing the cocoon to fall into the cargo bay. As the ship detects a breach in the cargo, it switches the autopilot to manual mode. Grabbing a freezing ray, Rain rushes to the cargo bay, following the alien baby's footprints. Meanwhile, Andy wakes up and checks on Kay, only to discover she is producing a strange mucus instead of milk. The now fully grown alien child appears and attacks Andy, killing him before moving to feed on its mother, Kay. Rain confronts the creature and tries to attack it, but the alien quickly disarms her and knocks her down. Fortunately, the freezing ray malfunctions, creating frosty smoke that distracts the creature, giving Rain a chance to escape. Realizing she can't save Andy, she flees alone and locks the door behind her. As the creature forces its way through, Rain jumps into the cargo bay and begins disengaging the manual locks to eject the entire bay and the monster with it. She manages to open 3 locks, but the alien strikes her down before she can reach the 4th. Thinking quickly, Rain tips over the cocoon, allowing its acid to melt through the floor. Tethered to the ship by a rope, Rain doesn't float away when the floor gives way, but as she climbs back, the alien grabs her by the head and cracks her helmet. Spotting the alien clinging to the bay with its tail, Rain pulls at her rope and opens the final lock, ejecting the entire bay module and sending the alien to its death as it crashes into the planet's rings. With the ship dangerously close to the rings, the autopilot reactivates, and Rain manages to climb back to safety. Exhausted, she places Andy's damaged body into a cryopod, removes his module, and promises to fix him. Finally, she enters a pod herself, hoping they'll survive long enough to reach a habitable planet. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you don't miss any of our video updates.